Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So I recently gave a talk to an audience of a few hundred YouTubers who had somewhere between a few hundred and a few thousand subscribers, so broadly fairly small channels. And so in this episode of Creator Club, the ongoing series where we explore strategies to start, grow, and monetize your YouTube channel and create a business, I would like to share some of that advice with you. And if we haven't met, hello, my name is Ali and I've been making YouTube videos here since 2017, documenting every step of my journey from broke medical student to full-time working doctor to seven-figure entrepreneur and now best-selling author. And since 2020, I've been running an online community called the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, where over 20,000 students have taken our courses on how to start and grow their YouTube channels with lots and lots of incredible success stories. If you'd like to check out the Academy and get all the systems and templates and processes that I've used to grow this YouTube channel and join a thriving community of creators from all around the world, there's more details in the video description. Rolling the clock all the way back, I had wanted to be a YouTuber since about 2008 when I first discovered YouTube and discovered these music YouTubers like Kurt Hugo Schneider and Sam Tsui and Tyler Ward and Alex G. And there was this like crowd of people, mostly in LA, I think, who would just do insane like covers of popular songs. And I was like, oh man, I want to be one of these people. I want to learn how to play all these instruments. And I've got friends who are good at singing and we could make music videos together. And since 2010 through to 2017, so for 7 years, every year I would tell myself, this is the year I'm gonna make a YouTube video. This is the year, this is the year. I was like, okay, I'm gonna find the camera, I'm gonna get a microphone. Then my brother got a camera, a DSLR back in the day, a Nikon something or other. And I was like, okay, this is the year I'm gonna learn how to use the camera. And for 7 years I procrastinated from doing these music videos because I kept on thinking I didn't have the right gear. I didn't know what to do, I didn't know how to do it. 7 years later, I dabbled with a couple of music videos. They're still there on the channel. There's 3 videos of my friends singing and lip syncing to songs. There's 1 or 2 videos of me singing, but those videos got like 2 views and like 3 dislikes. And I was like, oh damn, okay, I'm not gonna make it as a music YouTuber after making these. It took me 7 years to make these like 3 or 4 videos. While I was in medical school, I'd been running this business that helped other people get into med school. So I was running classroom courses, teaching people how to ace these medical exams in the UK. For a few years, it was doing reasonably well. We were on about 150K GBP in annual revenue. And so I was rich as a medical student because I was like making 40 grand in profit every year, which is like the salary of a doctor here in the UK. But then after about 3 or 4 years, our growth had started to plateau. And I was like, okay, I need to do something to get more people to know about our stuff. And so I reasoned. I was like, okay, well, I've been teaching this medical school stuff for years now. I think I'm pretty good at it. What if I made YouTube videos teaching the thing that I know? Hopefully, some segment of people will think I'm legit if they watch my videos, and then they'll buy my course. And I now know this is called organic content marketing, and this is like a thing that people do. But at the time, I had no idea what any of those words meant, and I just thought, okay, from first principles, this seems like a reasonable thing to do. And that was how I got started actually making YouTube video. It was like a failed musical YouTube career turned into me just being a nerd and just talking about the thing that I knew very well, which was how to get into medical school. And that was what the initial videos on the channel were. I would keep the first vlog that I tried to make in like June of 2017, which was like 8 years ago, where I picked up my iPhone and I said, hello everyone, I've been thinking of starting a vlog. I know that it's gonna be crap, but that's okay, because I've heard your first 50 videos are gonna be crap, but I'm doing it anyway because I know that if I don't film it on my phone right now, I'm gonna procrastinate and I'm never gonna do it. So this is my vlog. So yeah, I'm doing a vlog. Even if no one ends up watching these videos, which is pretty likely, it'll probably just be friends and maybe my grandma occasionally. Either way, I'm gonna make 50 videos. They're gonna suck, but that's okay. That's a video I would keep on the channel. That video now has lots of views because people go back to it and they're like, oh my God, this is where the journey started. But I remember distinctly having that thought of like, I wanna start vlogging. And my second thought was, I must take action right now, because if I don't do it right now, it's like, one thing that I've learned over time is that yes, I build all these like productivity systems and optimizations and all that shit, but fundamentally, what the creative act comes down to is being able to take advantage of inspiration when it strikes. And I find that the more time there is between having an idea and executing on the idea, it's like this exponential half-life decay. It's just like the idea is going to die unless I sort of act and film it there and then. And so it's almost like this balance between like, how do you take advantage of like those moments of inspiration while also over time building some sort of system, having an idea generation system, using AI, using Spotter Studio or whatever to like generate title ideas and thumbnail ideas and all of that stuff. And at the same time, still being able to take advantage of inspiration. That's like the constant balancing act. Okay, at this point, someone in the audience asked what my process is for creating a hook for a video. And so what I did during the talk is that I asked the people in the audience, is like, hey, can you guys suggest a random video idea? And the first idea that came up on the list was why your boss hates you. This is not normally a video that I would do on the channel, but I thought, you know what, let's take this random one and let me show you my process for coming up with a hook for this. So this is that process. Every YouTuber has some variation of this process, but this has kind of been mine over the years. Generally, there's an idea of like, or some sort of concept for the video. The immediate next question is, obviously, what's the title, what's the thumbnail? I actually think of it as TTH, which is title, thumbnail, hook. For me, the most important thing is title. For a channel like mine, we can always just slap my face on the thumbnail and put some text on it. Like, it's nice if we can find a really creative thumbnail, but it's not like massively important as it is for like some entertainment channels. So really the title is the key thing. And then what the hook does is that it connects the title to the concept. But the way this might work is that, let's say I have an idea for, I have just read this book, Wanting by Luke Burgess, The Power of Mimetic Desire in Everyday Life. Okay, cool. And I want to do a video about this. That's like the concept. It's like, I reckon I want to do a video about this thing which I think is useful. This is a bit of a niche book. It's about the theory of mimetic desire that was like, you know, introduced by French philosopher René Girard. So now I'm like, okay, well, what the hell is the title for this video gonna be? All right, cool. So if someone watches this video, what is the outcome they're gonna get at the end of it? And so really this book is about like figuring out what you really want. It helps you figure out like, you know, if you feel as if you're falling behind in life, then maybe it's because of mimetic desire. It's a book that helps you set better goals. And so I'm kind of thinking like, what are all of the different framings that I could do for the concept of I want to do a video about this book? We have a video coming out about this book. The title we landed on in the end, after doing some research back and forth with Spotter Studio and with a couple of other AI tools and thinking about it on a whiteboard with me and my team, was Watch This If You Feel Behind in Life. Or something like that, or like why you feel behind in life and what to do about it. Like something about this concept of feeling behind. That didn't have to be what the concept was. I could have taken almost any title. I could have titled this How to Be More Productive, which is a bit of a clickbaity title because it's not quite what the video is about, but that's what the hook is about. The hook then connects the title to the to the concept. So had I titled this How to Be More Productive or something, I would have figured out in the hook of like, okay, if you want to be more productive, most people will tell you that you need to optimize your time, be more efficient, or download more productivity apps. In reality, being more productive is a lot more about the direction you're going than about how efficient you're going there. And this book is going to help you set better goals. This is Wanting by Luke Burgess, and that's what we're talking about in this episode of Book Club, the ongoing series where blah, 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 blah. So I can take a title, which is somewhat unrelated, like this is not a productivity book. It's almost the opposite of a productivity book, but I can kind of do the old switcheroo by like titling it How to Be Productive and then like flipping it to be like, okay, and that's why we're talking about this book. And the tricky thing about this is that there are so many different titles that could work for loads of different concepts. And over time, you know, me and my team just kind of realized that we can kind of make anything work. We just need to find the title that we think is sufficiently clickable and also that reasonably delivers on the concept that we want to make the video about. So that's sort of like the idea generation process, which honestly, I think this is about 80% of the success of a YouTube video. It basically comes down to the concept, the title, the thumbnail, and the hook. That packaging of the video makes up 80% of the value. Then once you're there, then it's about like actually make the video, outline, and then it's about film, and then it's about edit. But honestly, I reckon this stuff is about 20% of the variation in like view count of a video. Most of it really just comes from the packaging, which is really annoying, but that's also the game that we're playing here on YouTube. Oh, by the way, if you are enjoying this video, then you are the perfect target market for Spotter Studio, who are very kindly sponsoring today's video. Now, Spotter Studio, as you might have heard, is an incredible AI-powered platform specifically designed for YouTube creators like us, and has basically changed my and my team's entire ideation process when it comes to figuring out ideas for YouTube videos. So for example, they've got this ideas for you screen that's sort of based on what your audience likes and based on outliers that are doing well on YouTube and based on your own videos that are doing well on YouTube. It gives you various different ideas with thumbnail concepts about videos that could potentially do well, like how to maximize focus, 5 proven methods. That would be a pretty solid video. So I can hit save idea. Oh, this is nice. 5 secrets to effortless productivity, 5 habits destroying your productivity. That's nice. And then if you want to work on one of your own ideas, you can just workshop that idea. So for example, I could come up with an idea like my productivity system 2025, and then it's going to help me brainstorm titles and thumbnails and hooks for that specific video. I can take any title I want and I can hit explode, for example, and then that explodes it into different kind of divergent thinking based on that particular title. And essentially you can just go back and forth with the tool to find the best ideas for your content. And if you happen to be watching this before March 31st, 2025, then there is an incredible opportunity that Spotter Studio is offering right now called Collaborate with the Greats. And they're running a challenge where you could win a trip to Los Angeles to collaborate with top YouTube creators at the Spotter Studio Idea Summit. So here's how it works. From now until March 31st at 10 p.m. Pacific time, you can go into Spotter Studio. You want to add at least 10 ideas to your idea bank, and then you want to share your best one by clicking the Share with Expert button. And then the top 9 ideas are going to get selected, and those creators will be flown out to LA for an in-person collaboration session where they'll help you refine and develop these concepts. What I love about this challenge is that it's not really about having the perfect idea. They're instead looking for originality, impact, and feasibility with video concepts that you genuinely want to create. And the best part is that you don't even need a paid subscription to Spotter to take part. You can try it out for free and still be eligible to win. So if you want to participate, check out the link in the video description or visit spotterstudio.com/ideas to get started. And remember, you need to enter your ideas by 31st of March 2025 to be eligible. Spotter are always looking to add new features and tools to help creators like us make better content that really connects with our audiences. So if you want to check it out, there's more details down in the video description. Most of the time, it's about an hour. About 1 hour trying to go back and forth and figure out the title. Sometimes in the process, then once we've nailed a title, in the process of then writing the video, I'll think, oh, actually there's a better title that's coming to mind. It's not quite like we've nailed the title, it's now set in stone, we're gonna go for that. It's more like, provisionally, this is the title. We generally pick two because we like to A/B test titles. So we'll generally pick two titles that are like a little bit different. We try and keep them under 55 characters because that's how many characters you're allowed on mobile before it gets cut off, but probably somewhere between half an hour to 1 hour per video for just the title. Sometimes, on Friday, a few days ago, I had an idea for a video because I watched a video on a channel called Gary's Economics, which is very good, and the title of that video was How to Get Rich. And I thought, oh, that's an intriguing title. Just like straight up, how to get rich. And Gary's message in that video was basically, we need to tax the rich because wealth inequality is why you're never gonna get rich unless you had a rich dad. That was his messaging. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. You know, I wanna do a video called How to Get Rich. Just straight up, how to get rich, and like, it would be an interesting title. And I think the one point I wanna make is that the way to get rich is to be unhealthily obsessed with that goal. And I was like, okay, cool, that's it. That was a video where I was like, I felt inspired in the moment, decided the title. I didn't do any spotter studioing, I didn't do any A/B testing, I didn't do any AI, VoicePal, Claude, ChatGPT, any of the other tools that I use. I just took the inspiration from this other video, thought, you know what, I'm just gonna straight up use that title, How to Get Rich. It's kind of funny, it's kind of on the nose, and I'm just gonna hit record and speak from the heart. And that was my favorite video that I filmed this year. And tentatively, fingers crossed, it's coming out next week. I hope it will do well. So it'll be interesting, but I don't know if it actually will. You never really know. But I find that in the past, a lot of the videos where I've spoken from the heart without much preparation have actually done better than the videos that we've meticulously prepared. So that's just another example of a fully inspired video rather than a sort of engineered video in terms of like, how do we make the title as clickable as possible? How the hell do you make content that excites you that also performs well? I kind of think of it as a bit of a Venn diagram of like stuff I want to make on one side and stuff the audience wants to see. And I've put the audience in speech marks here because when we say algorithm, we basically mean audience because the algorithm is the audience and the content is king, as the YouTube algorithm team constantly hammer when they do talks and stuff like that. The algorithm is basically the audience. So if a video is sufficiently intriguing to a sufficiently large number of your audience that they will click on it, and sufficiently good that they will actually watch it, then it will do well. And so it's basic, but I put the audience in quote in speech marks as well, because the audience is like, you know, we've got like 6.25 million subscribers. There's a lot of people, a lot of them maybe never watch my channel anymore, because they watched it a few years ago and now they've churned because that's just how life works. So what even is the audience? I don't know, but there's this broad category of stuff the audience wants to see and stuff I want to make. Most YouTubers do not have 100% overlap in this region. Generally, the more overlap there is in this region, the happier you are. Because then the stuff you want to make is the stuff the audience wants to see. For me, I don't know, 20% of the stuff that I want to make is stuff that I think the audience wants to see, which is where the challenge comes in around like, okay, I know I want to do a video about the power of mimetic desire in everyday life. This is not a video that the audience wants to see. So how do I make them care? How do I title this, package this up in a way that appeals to people in quote the audience? And how can I have my cake and eat it too, as it were? So sometimes me or my team will pick a title. For example, I can guarantee that if I make a video titled How Students Can Make Passive Income in 2025, 100% guarantee it's gonna get 1 million views. Of course it is. Of course it's gonna get 1 million views. Do I wanna make a video titled How Students Make Passive Income in 2025? I look at that title and I'm like, oh God, another one of those, passive income, oh God, like, what a nightmare. And then I remind myself that like, no, we have a lot of students in our audience, and actually, I learned how to make money as a student, and actually, passive income is life-changing. And so, passive income for students in 2025, actually, this is a valuable video. And so, the way I think of it is that if I was teaching a university lecture as part of a series called How to Build a Life You Love, which is sort of the mission of our business, I had a gun to my head and I had to do a lecture about how students can make passive income. How would I make it interesting? What would I talk about? How would I make it valuable? And through that like mental thought process, I have psyoped myself into feeling excited about this video, Where previously I'd have been like, oh God, another passive income video. Why do I want to make one of those? Oh, I'm just doing it for the views. I'm on a content hamster wheel. I'm a cow. I'm just being milked for content. Bloody sponsors. Oh God. And it's like all of the negative thought processes that every YouTuber suffers from when making videos. I try my best to feel excited about the video, because when I feel excited about it, it makes it way more fun. And I sort of think, what's the point of being in this sort of career if it's not fun? You know, I could be working in medicine right now. I could be working as a corporate job, in a corporate job. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could reach out to the team at Spotter and they would hire me to do something or other, like, or any kind of startup that we work with. But I'm choosing to do this. And so why don't I try and enjoy the process? So this is like the daily battle I have with myself pretty much every day around how the hell do you get these lines, these circles to overlap? How do I actually feel excited about the content that might do well algorithmically in terms of the audience? The way I think about the niche question is that niche is kind of a combination of two things. It's the target audience and it's the value proposition. So if we think early on in the days of my YouTube channel, the target audience was kids getting into trying to get into med school in the UK, and the value proposition was I help you get into med school in the UK. That's a pretty clear target audience and value proposition. Makes it actually quite easy to figure out, like, okay, what videos do I want to make next, which all comes downstream of that. If you're starting out, it can be really hard to figure out like who the hell is this target audience. And it's also different in education and entertainment. I know nothing about the world of entertainment. It's really hard. I won't pretend to talk about any of that. I specialize in the world of education. So if the goal is to create valuable content that educates or inspires people in some way, who's the target audience? One way of thinking about that when you're starting out is, who do you want to be the target audience? There's various questions I often ask students in our YouTuber Academy. One of them is, if you were giving a talk to 100 people and you could choose who those 100 people are, and the only catch is you're not allowed to prepare the talk, who would you have in that room to guarantee you could add value to them? Bit of a long-winded question, but like another way of thinking about it is, would you be excited to speak to yourself 5 years ago and give that person advice? What about yourself 10 years ago? Would you be excited to speak to that person to give them advice? What are the things you've learned in the last 10 years of living life that you think would be useful for you to have heard 10 years ago? Okay, let's say you were a teacher at a university speaking to, let's say you're 32 now, speaking to 22-year-olds and giving them life wisdom. Would you feel excited to speak to that target audience? Let's say you're a senior doctor. Would you feel excited to talk to junior doctors? It's like people further behind in your career and people further behind in life, like who've just had less life experience than you. Could that be your target audience? And generally, for most people I know, we define our target audience as someone who's basically me, but a little bit younger. And usually me, but a little bit younger works for about 80% of people. Then there's the other 20% where like someone might be a fitness professional and they've got a business selling fitness services. And so even though this is a 25-year-old personal trainer dude, their target audience might be 45-year-old overweight women in the US who buy his service. That's a completely different sort of way of thinking about the target audience value proposition chain because there's a business attached to it. But for the most part, you can't go wrong with me, but a few years younger. At least that's how I think about target audience. There's a few different ways I overcome creative blocks. One way is I find that when I'm speaking to someone in my target audience and asking them about their problems, that really helps me out. Some people in my team are in the target audience in that they're younger than me or have less experience than me in whatever ways and have various problems. So I was having a chat with one of my team members the other day. She has various problems. She feels behind in life. She feels lost. She feels like she's not making enough money. She's been wanting to start a business for 10 years and has never taken action. She struggles with consistency. She feels very undisciplined. She really wants to take her dating profile seriously, but is just not doing it because she's afraid of rejection and has like bad experience. She has like loads of problems, whereas this is actually fantastic because by talking to her about her problems, it gave me so many ideas. I was like, oh, this is how a normal person thinks about like the fear of rejection when it comes to dating. Like I overcame that long ago because I'd been a product. When I was 15, I read books about how to overcome fear of rejection and I just did it. And then I got over my fear of rejection to the point where I would like write letters to girls at university who I liked and ask them out and they would say no and I'd be like, oh, whatevs. It's like, I also worked as a close-up magician and so I inoculated myself from the fear of rejection. But this person in my team, who is actually more like a normal person than I am, has not yet figured that out. Okay, that's interesting. What if I do a video about how to overcome your fear of rejection? Oh, it's interesting. She doesn't know where she wants to go in life. I've been thinking about this shit for years. I've got all the journaling prompts. Like, why doesn't she know where she wants to go in life? Like, nice, that's really helpful. I can do a video about how to figure out where you want to go in life. Talking to people I find is super, super, super helpful. That helps overcome creative block. Another way I overcome creative block is, so I find that, I don't know if you guys have this experience, like basically every creator I've ever met has the experience where being interviewed on a podcast feels way more comfortable than doing a video. Like right now we're doing this over Zoom. I'm just like riffing here. I feel like I'm saying some good stuff. If you weren't on the other end of this call, Essie, I would be clamming up. I would be like, I'd be on my third coffee. I'd have done 2 poos by now. I would have wasted 3 hours trying to talk myself into filming this video. And it would be, I would have overthought the hell out of the content that I'm saying. But the fact that I'm here talking to you and that we have a few people on the Zoom call, it's like, there's something about this environment that feels very natural. And if you ask most creators who feel blocked or anything or struggle to film, how confident are they on a Zoom call? Pretty confident. Anyone can do a Zoom call. No one's like, oh my God, I feel so unconfident on a Zoom call. I can't speak to. It's like, of course, like you can speak to people on a Zoom call. You're talking to your webcam and there's people on the other end. But when it comes to speaking to a camera, suddenly it's like, oh my God, I have to hit record. It's like algorithm, audience, retention curves, hooks. Oh, is the title really good? Oh, do I have enough value to add? Oh my God, like, oh, this video, maybe it needs more research. Maybe I need more of a script. Oh, I'm trying to read a script, but it's a nightmare reading a script. And it's like all of the stuff gets in the way compared to just having a conversation with someone on the other end. So sometimes when I'm creatively blocked, I will ask someone on my team or my wife, hey, can we get on a Zoom call where I just connect my webcam to the Zoom call and you just ask me some questions? Or I'll ask if it's my wife in real life, can you sit behind the camera and just ask me some questions? This room is kind of small. In Hong Kong, everything is small. So sometimes, like, there's been 2 occasions in the last few months where my wife has been sitting in this area that is just out of shot, just sitting there and like asking me a question like, okay, Ali, so this video is about how to 5 tips for time management. Why do you think this is an important video? And I'd be like, all right, so I think time management is just a really important concept because like time is the most valuable, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm off to the races because she's asked me a question. So I find that when someone is asking me a question, whether it's over Zoom or in real life or on a podcast, that is another thing that really helps overcome creative blocks. Oh, and something I forgot to mention in the talk is that I've actually built an app called VoicePal that helps you do exactly this. It's basically like a ghostwriter in your pocket. So what I do with VoicePal, if I'm ever kind of creatively blocked, which is actually most of the time when making YouTube videos, is I will hit record on the app. I will just speak out whatever I want the content of the video to be. The app will ask me follow-up questions, and then I can export that script into Notion and then use that as the basis of my YouTube video. If you haven't tried out VoicePal, there'll be links down in the video description. It's available on iOS, it's available on Android, and it's really helpful for content creators because it helps you just create content without having to sit on the computer and type it out. But instead you can like go for a walk, you can speak to your phone, and you can sort of get your ideas out by speaking them instead. Yeah, it's a really big it depends on this. Is the title or thumbnail more important for educational content? It's sort of like it depends. If you have an established channel, like if you think of Colin and Samir, everyone probably watches Colin and Samir, you can imagine a Colin and Samir thumbnail. Photo of the guest, yellow background, black text. Is the thumbnail important? Well, yes, but also no, because they've got a format and there's an expectation and there's a sort of interview show. The text on the thumbnail is important. You can often see that they're testing the thumbnails. Like they did an interview with Jacob Collier and it was like the Mozart of Gen Z, and then they tested a different title and different something. So it's like the text on the thumbnail is important for them. But the thumbnail itself, there's a format. If you look at Andrew Huberman or Diary of a CEO, they have a format like black background, photo of the person, and they change up the text. Is the thumbnail important? Well, yes, but also no in that context. What if you're a brand new channel and you don't have a format and you don't have this established relationship where people just click on your video because they see the thing? Is the thumbnail important? Yes, the thumbnail is really, really, really important, even for educational content, because in educational content, it's almost like the supply and demand curve, right? Like if you are creating content in a field where there is high demand and low supply, so loads of people want the content and there's not enough of it out there. I would say 5 years ago, this was business content and how to make money content on YouTube. People wanted it, but there wasn't that much of it. In that sense, the title was the most important thing, because if you had a video titled How to Make Passive Income in 2020, you would have gotten loads of clicks on that video because no one was talking about it. But now if you did a video titled How to Make Passive Income in 2025 and your channel has no subscribers and no views and you're new, you're competing against all of the business gurus that are making that exact content. So how do you stand out? Well, the only option you have there, where everyone is using the same title, is to have a really good thumbnail. So then the thumbnail becomes really important. And so to answer the question, is the title or thumbnail more important? It's a big it depends. Both of them are important, but the more of a format you have, the less important the thumbnail becomes. But even then, like if you want a video to break out of your audience, the thumbnail becomes important again because they don't know who you are. And so if I were to do a video with just my face on it and some text, my face is not that attractive. If my wife puts up, her thumbnail with a face on it, she's really attractive. And so that gets more clicks. So it's like, we have to then actively think about doing these sorts of shots, like a top-down shot of the thing. We have a video that just came out, and so we did like a top-down shot of like a book or whatever, because this seems more like appealing to a new person in the audience because it looks like a vibey overhead shot. Thumbnail's really important in that sense because we're trying to break it out. Is title or thumbnail more important? Both of them are kind of equally important as it relates to like, it's a package. You never see one without the other, but it does depend on how much of a format you have. Yeah, so this happens a lot. This is why I think being a YouTuber, you can never really rest on your laurels. Like, I was the productivity guy back in 2019. I could put the word productivity in a title and it would just do really well. Now, like, you know, productivity in the title is like, It's just, you know, obviously there are still some people interested in it, but it doesn't have the level of interest that it did back in 2019, and especially during the pandemic when everyone was trying to be more productive. Atomic Habits, that famous book by James Clear, really took off during the pandemic because everyone was like, I want to build better habits. But if you were to try and do videos about how to build better habits, I mean, the word habit still does well in the personal development space, but it doesn't have the virality that it did back in 2021, for example. The more familiar you become with a particular space, the more you start to see these sorts of trends. You can use tools. For example, YouTube are testing a new feature that gives you kind of video ideas and stuff based on search traffic and things. You can like type in a search term into YouTube, be like, how to, ... how to be more, ... and you can see what suggestions come up. And generally that's a good indicator of like what's doing well. In the personal development space, one thing we've seen this year is that videos about people feeling lost, people feeling stuck, people feeling behind, people overthinking, the emotional stuff seems to be doing really well. Whereas back in the day, emotional stuff did less well, and it was more like, these apps help me be more productive. Now the apps videos seem to be being overtaken by the recognizing the emotional side of the equation. This is all very broad, general trend type thing. The more familiar you are with the space and the more you absorb the content in it, the more you'll see these different trends over time. And then the trick is you want to try and catch a trend before loads of other people catch that trend. Because now the whole like viral replication method, we kind of taught it in our YouTuber course like 5 years ago, and back then it was revolutionary that like, hey, the best way to get views is to just copy the title of another video that's gotten views and just change something about it. And now everyone does this. So as soon as someone makes a video called, Dan Go, for example, makes a video titled, I'm 42, watch this if you're in your 20s. Boom, 3 million views. Every single person in personal development now makes, I'm 42, I'm 53, I'm 27, I'm 28. Please watch this if you're in your 20s. Boom, they'll get 1 million views. But now the more people that repeat that, the appetite for that particular title has gone down. And so now it's less good. And so kudos to the first person who thought about that, because they've really, they got the first mover advantage for that title. And then every subsequent copycat is getting fewer and fewer views in terms of imitating that format. So all of this is the unfortunate game that we as creators have to play, because most of us don't want to be playing that game of chasing the trends. But at the end of the year, videos about how to make the next year the best year of your life will always do well. Midway through the year, no one cares. So it also depends on timing. So for new creators, I think chasing trends is a bit of a waste of time, because usually the trend is something broad. Advice for people in their 20s. That's very, very, very broad. If I was a new creator, there's no way in hell I'd make a video titled Advice for People in their 20s unless I knew I had like an angle or a framing or something that was different and better than what was already out there. But I'm a new creator, so I probably suck at making videos, so I'm probably not gonna be that good. Instead, I would just really laser focus on target audience, value proposition, and how do I make the most valuable videos for my target audience, regardless of the trends. Because the trends are only relevant on the macro scale. The trends are only relevant when you're thinking, will this video get 300,000 views? Or will this video get 800,000 views? Or will it get 1.2 million views? If you're a new creator, you shouldn't even be thinking about those sorts of numbers. You should be thinking of like, the one person in my target audience that watched my video today, how do I make sure they get value from it? And how do I make sure that there's enough value that they feel compelled to send a link on WhatsApp to their friends who are also in the target audience? That's the level you want to be thinking at, rather than the level of what's a big trend that'll 3x my view count kind of thing. It's basically on two axes. One axis is how good do I feel about the video? This is sort of like any artist, any creator will create something and have an intuitive sense of, is this good or is this bad? Where does this rank in terms of my work in general? So I'll have that sense. But then the more objective sense is how many views did it get? Because in a way, views is a measure of breadth of impact. Comments is a measure of depth of impact. So sometimes a video might get only 100,000 views for our channel, which would be it's only got 100,000 views. But the comments will be oh my God, it's the best video you've ever made. It's a super niche, but it's so applicable to my situation, blah, 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 blah. And so we'll get a feeling that that video was good from a depth perspective. Sometimes a video that we might make about advice for YouTubers might drive lots of sales to our YouTuber course. And so it's good from a commercial sense in that it drove traffic to our YouTuber course, which is the point. And it was targeted at a niche audience of people who want to be YouTubers. Whereas most people in my audience don't want to be YouTubers. So it's not going to get loads of views, but it might have had impact in terms of depth based on comments, and it might have had good conversion for the sponsor or for our courses or whatever the thing is. So that would be a win. So there's all these different ways of defining what's a good versus a great video. I personally don't think too hard about it. I've been doing this now for 8 years. We've made over 1,000 videos. People say, you know, just try and make every video just a little bit better than the last one. Man, good luck with that. Beyond video number 20, it's just impossible to make every single video better than the last one. And I think it's too much of an unfair expectation to set because it's a recipe for burnout. So the way that I think about it now is I'm just gonna show up, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna hope that what I say provides value. And I almost don't even look at the numbers anymore because the numbers to me are somewhat, I'll look at them over a macro period. But back in the day, I used to obsess over, is this a 1 out of 10? Is it a 3 out of 10? Is it a 5 out of 10? Now, I just know that like, if I just keep showing up, providing valuable content, looking at the analytics maybe once a month to see like, okay, do I need to tweak anything about what I'm doing? And just show up and speak from the heart. Chances are, maybe the channel's not gonna grow as fast as it could have done if I'd really optimized, but I would be having way more fun. And the more fun I have, the more sustainable this career is. And this is my dream career, so I want to keep doing it forever. So like optimizing for sustainability and enjoyment to me is more important than optimizing for views. Obviously, I would love to have both of them overlap. In reality, they often don't. So one thing I used to do back in the day is I used to approach YouTube with a sense of, it doesn't matter how I feel about it, I'm gonna make the video anyway. Especially this was while I was a medical student and while I was working as a doctor. Because when you're working full time and you're trying to do YouTube on the side, you actually just don't have that many hours in the day left. So I'd have like a day off after being on a night shift for 3 days in a row or whatever, and then I'd have the day off. I'd be like, all right, on that day, that's like my 1 day off in like 2 weeks. I need to film 4 videos that day because otherwise the channel's not gonna be consistent. And so I'd get up in the morning and I would make myself film 4 videos. And yeah, I'd be glad for it in the end that I made myself film the 4 videos. These days, now that I've made it, now that I'm rich, now that I don't need the money, all that kind of stuff, I now lean more towards, you know what, I'll make videos when I feel inspired to make them. Sometimes that means only putting out 1 video a week. Sometimes we might put out 0 videos that week. Sometimes it might be 2. Sometimes it might even mean sending an email to the nice team at Spotter Studio to be like, guys, I'm really sorry. We're gonna have to delay the March video into April because like, I just haven't gotten around to filming it. And we are a big enough size now and have good enough relationships with our sponsors that like, they're like, whatevs. That's fine. Back in the day when it was like my first brand deal, I was like $500 and I was like, whoa, that's like as much as I make in a week as a doctor and I'm getting it for 2 minutes of talking about Rosetta Stone. Holy fuck, I better do a good job. It just changes the equation. So I used to be very much like consistency, discipline, do it even when you don't feel like it. Now I'm a bit more like fluid, like, I'll make a video when I feel inspired to make it. And this is the thing. So whenever I interview like successful people, however you define that, on my podcast or on the channel or anything, everyone, once they're already successful, they talk about work-life balance. Not a single person had work-life balance when they were in the process of grinding to make it. And this is, I think, one of those unfortunate truths that like, it is actually really, really, really hard to have it all. It's really hard to be grinding to build a channel or a business while having a full-time job, while being present with your family, while taking care of your health, while getting enough sleep. There's just physically not enough hours in the day to be able to do that. Something has to give. And so strategic sacrifice, I think, is like the thing. A good blog post, I think by Paul Graham, is one of the founders of Y Combinator, about this. Basically being like, when people have kids, their ambition just goes down. Why does their ambition go down? Well, because they've got something better to do with their time. They want to hang out with the kids. Whereas when you're a 21-year-old single dude, what do you do in the evenings? Well, you just grind on your business. So it's like, it just is unfortunately the case that if you have lots of things going on, the business or the work or the channel just is going to get less focus. And that's totally okay. I think where this becomes a problem is if someone's goal is here and if their actions are here. Let's say someone's goal is I want to get 1 million subscribers on YouTube. For the record, I think that's a terrible goal because it's out of your control, but sure, let's say 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And they are multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate, they've got a family, they're taking care of their health, they're training for a high rocks, they're training for a marathon, they have friends over every day, they want to be present with their 3 kids, and they have a full-time job. You're just never going to get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It's just not going to happen because you're going to put in like half an hour a week of work and then you'll feel bad because there is this gap between what you want and what you're doing. So either we want to raise what we're doing to do 20 hours a week on YouTube, or we just decrease what we want. Why do we need 1 million subscribers? Well, what's 1 million subscribers going to buy us that we don't already have? Like, why not just be like, you know what? I'm just going to make YouTube videos when I feel like doing it and treat it more as a hobby. Why does it need to be a business? Why do you need to monetize this? It's like, the more you try and make money from something, the more exceptional that goal becomes. Most people are not making money from YouTube. Most people are not making stupid money from YouTube. If your goal is to make stupid money from YouTube, man, you've got to put in so much work. And good luck doing that if you have other things going on. Okay, cool. So we're thinking title equals why your boss hates you. Then the next question I would be thinking here is like, okay, in this video we're starting with the title, but what's the actual point of the video? One tip that I actually got from my wife, who's also a YouTuber, is what is the heart of this video? By heart, I'm thinking fundamentally, what's the thing I want people to take away? So for a video like this, Why Your Boss Hates You, I'd be like, okay, well, the heart of the video is actually that I want people to have a job to recognize that the value that they add to their workplace, the visible value they add to their work, reflects directly on their boss, reflects directly on their boss's boss, reflects directly on the entire business. And so if you care about getting ahead in the workplace, you need to become your boss's favorite employee. And let's weave in this book, Wild Courage by Jenny Wood, that kind of talks about this sort of stuff. So the heart of the video is helping people recognize they need to add more value in the workplace if they want to get ahead. Okay, cool. Great. So we've got the title and we've got the point. Now we need a hook to bridge the title and the point. So one formula for a hook is that generally for a hook, I got this off from Mr. Beast said this in one of his Colin and Samir interviews from like 5 years ago. He said they basically just repeat the title of the video. So if Mr. Beast's title is $1 to $1 billion private yachts or whatever, in his hook, his first sentence will be, we're gonna go on like 10 different yachts, starting from $1 and then going all the way up to $1 billion. Boom, and that sort of thing. So he's basically reaffirming the title that you've clicked on in the first thing that he says. Something I sometimes do is, if you clicked on this video, So we have a video that just came out earlier today titled something like, Why You Never Have Enough Time, or Watch This If You Never Have Enough Time. And the hook was, if you clicked on this video, then you might be thinking that you never have enough time. That's the first line. And then I'm elaborating on that. You might be thinking that, man, I've got so much shit on my to-do list. I never have enough time to do it. I have all these hobbies and passions, and I also want to build my business and build my personal brand, and there just aren't enough hours in the day. So I'm then agitating the pain that the viewer feels. This is a thing from the world of copywriting for like sales and marketing stuff. It's like, let's say you were trying to sell, a weight loss supplement. Do you want to lose weight? Might be the question that brings people in. And then you would agitate the problem. You would say, do you feel like whenever you're in an airplane seat, like you're spilling over onto the seat next door? Do you feel embarrassed to go in public? Do you feel XYZ? And you're really trying to dig in the knife that you've just put in them. People sometimes do this artfully, people sometimes do this badly, like there's all sorts of examples. But generally in our hook, we will reaffirm the title and then we will sort of agitate the message. It's basically trying to have empathy for the audience. I want to signal in my first 30 seconds that, like, I know why you clicked on the video and I understand the problems that you are facing. Again, in the world of copywriting, there's a thing of like, if you can articulate the prospect's pain better than they can, they will immediately trust your solution. So I want to show them that I know what they're struggling with. If you clicked on this video, then you might be wondering why your boss hates you. You might be scared to go to work on a Sunday night because you know that when you get there, you're gonna have a weird relationship with your manager. You might feel like you don't really have much clarity on what your role is, and you might be like in that weird position where you want to do a good job, but you just know that it's not really working, and for various reasons, your boss or your manager doesn't seem to like you. Other people are getting promotions and you're being passed up, and you know that the reason for that might be because your boss doesn't like you. I know that exact feeling. Back when I was working full-time as a doctor, I had a boss who didn't like me at all. I would dread going to work on days where she was on. I would try and take annual leave on days where I knew she was on call to avoid running into her. And it just completely changed my experience of work. And so in this video, I want to share 5 tips that I've learned over the years that I find super helpful for why your boss might hate you and crucially what to do about it. So we've got like, boom, repeat the title, agitate, empathy, show that I know what I'm talking about, and then signpost to what's coming up in the video. That is kind of the formula that we follow for almost all of our videos. So I think, yeah, I didn't realize we had a formula, but this is basically the formula. Not hard rules, but general guidelines. So usually no more than 1 face, usually mine. 2 at the very most, if we know it's like a podcast style thing. I remember seeing a presentation from vidIQ back in the day that showed that the more faces you have in the thumbnail, the less likely it is to perform well. And so we were like, all right, cool. Well, I guess we'll just put 1 face in the thumbnail. I also remember seeing a presentation, the same presentation from vidIQ back like 4 years ago at a conference, where they were like, if you have more than about 4 or 5 words in the thumbnail text, it also performs less well. So we tried to limit it to about 3, 4, or 5 words in the thumbnail text. Those are, the same rule of thumbs that I think most creators follow these days, because there's quite a lot of data on that specific topic. So one resource I would cite is a chap called Justin Moore, M-O-O-R-E. He has just written a book called Sponsor Magnet, which you can get on Amazon, which is about how to do brand deals. We've been working with Justin for years, and he's like our go-to consultant when it comes to figuring out brand deals. So I actually don't do much on our own brand deals. Angus and my team talk to Justin, and that's how we figure out a brand deal strategy. So you should read that book, Sponsor Magnet. It's like $10 on Kindle. You might as well. That'll give you way more information than I can provide. I will give you a bit of a hot take on brand deals. I don't think you should reach out to brands. They will start reaching out to you once you reach a particular size. Unless you really need the money and you have a really niche audience and you really care about the money and you really want to put in the work to do B2B sales, which is what brand deals are if you're trying to do them yourself. When should you start doing it? I mean, I started getting reach outs from brands when I hit 20,000 subscribers. I know creators who are on like 10,000 subscribers who are getting reach outs from brand deals. The annoying thing is that usually, like, the number you can put in your mind is $15 CPM. So about $15 per 1,000 views is roughly, on average, with a big spread, what brands will be willing to pay. So if you have 1,000 views on your videos, you'll get $15 from doing a brand deal. Is it worth doing a brand deal for $15? Probably not. If you have 10,000 views, you can probably charge $150. If you have 100,000 views, you can probably charge, what is that? $1,500 or whatever the thing is. And does it become worth it at that point? Well, maybe, depending on what your situation is. I don't know any creator that likes brand deals, but we do them because they pay the bills in a relatively chill fashion, depending on how chill the brand is. There are some brands that are a total nightmare to work with. Spotter is very nice, for example. Spotter are chill. Spotter are like very well prepared, give you a list of things that they want and let you do what you want within that context. So like, whereas, I don't know, there are some very big companies that you will have heard of that work through an agency, and then that agency works through another agency, and then it's like, well, technically, you have a Ravenclaw poster in the background, and Ravenclaw is a registered trademark of the Wizarding World Inc., and therefore, we cannot have the word Ravenclaw in this brand. Therefore, can you refilm the whole thing and just be in a different studio? And I was like, bro, you know, at a certain point, the annoyance of dealing with a particular brand stops being worth it for the money that you get from it. But it's always a calculation of like, how much is it worth it to you for spending the amount of time and effort it takes to do brand deals? When you have brand deals as well, you usually have deadlines on videos. This was a good thing for me back in the day because it would motivate me to film a video where otherwise I didn't feel like filming a video. These days, where I care more about work-life balance, I already have the money, so I don't need more of it. I'm like, why am I working to someone else's deadline when I could be doing my own thing? So relationships with brand deals will change depending on what stage of your career you're at, but I really recommend checking out Justin Moore's stuff around sponsors and how exactly to work with them. There is a ceiling to every niche. Well, pretty much every niche in terms of subscribers or views. Just like with any business, there is a total addressable market, TAM or TAM for short. If you start a local coffee shop, there is a limit to how much money you can make from a local coffee shop. If you start Spotter Studio, there actually is a limit to how much money you can make from Spotter Studio. It's a pretty big limit, but you're targeting professional creators with an expensive service. So like, there actually is a particular total addressable market, which the team at Spotter is very, very aware of. It's like, okay, what's the value of the creator economy, et cetera, all of this sort of stuff. There's always a cap for any niche. The question is, what are your goals? And does your niche have enough potential to fulfill those goals? If your goal is to get famous, then probably you don't want to do content teaching Mandarin. Someone like Xiaoma, I think, he doesn't really teach Mandarin, he does viral skits where it's like, white guy busts out Mandarin in a Chinese takeaway shop. They're shocked. That shit gets 10 million views because it's entertainment content, it's not educational content. My wife would do a video about how to self-study Mandarin, and that might get like 1 million views, 2 million views if it goes really viral, because there's not, in the grand scheme of things, there's not that many people looking for educational Mandarin content on YouTube. The question is, for most people, the goal should not be fame. If fame is your goal, I think you're gonna have a terrible time on YouTube. For most people, what they want is, you know, if I could earn 6 figures doing what I love and having a business that like, you know, I can make videos when I feel like it and like have work-life balance and hang out with my kids and blah, blah, blah. Great. Well, like, okay, that's actually really easy to get to through learning Mandarin as a niche, because there's at least 1 million people interested in it. There are examples of other channels that are doing well. My wife has a course on how to learn Mandarin, and that's doing reasonably well. It's like you can do some competitive research and see that, okay, there are people making money from this niche. In almost every niche, you could make at least $100,000 a year. For most niches, you could make at least $1 million a year if you did it well. The exceptions are, it's hard to do with entertainment content because it's not obvious what product you would sell. And so you either have to do physical products and merch, which is annoying, or you have to do brand deals, which are, it's hard to do $1 million a year in brand deals unless you're like really big. We do about $1 million a year in brand deals, like for context, but we're really big. If your niche is news, like daily news or something, again, it's hard to make money doing that because most people don't expect to pay for the news. Entertainment and news, beyond entertainment and news, like you can probably build a 6-figure business in any niche. You can certainly build a 6 and even 7-figure business doing Mandarin, but you're probably not gonna get 5 million subscribers teaching Mandarin. So it just depends on what do you want. And I think fame is not a good goal to have. And whenever someone tells me they want to start a YouTube channel for the goal of getting famous, I'm like, bro, you know, we've got bigger problems to fry. We need to go to therapy here. Like, because you trying to get famous through your YouTube channel. This is A, it's not gonna happen because it's really hard to do. B, like why? C, like what's going on? D, like why? It's just a recipe for burnout and dissatisfaction from what I've seen from people that want to get famous. Alrighty, so I hope you enjoyed that compilation of advice. A big thank you to Spotto for hosting me for this particular talk. And if you're interested in growing on YouTube and you haven't seen the video that's about my 3-part framework, the 3 levels of how to grow on YouTube, that'll be linked in this video right over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye-bye.